What surprising defense strategies work for shoplifting charges? Imagine walking out of a store with an item in your hand and suddenly facing serious criminal charges. It might seem like an open and shut case, but there are unexpected ways to challenge shoplifting accusations. Many people assume that if you are caught with unpaid merchandise, a conviction is inevitable. That's not always true. Defense strategies can sometimes turn the case around. One of the most overlooked defenses is lack of intent. To convict someone of shoplifting, the prosecution must prove that the person intended to steal. If you can show that you forgot to pay, got distracted, or made an honest mistake, the charge might be dropped. For example, if you walk out with an item still in your hand because you were distracted by a phone call or overwhelmed, it can be argued that there was no criminal intent. Returning to pay immediately or explaining the mistake can also support this defense. Mistaken identity is another surprising strategy. Sometimes store employees or security guards misidentify the person who took the merchandise. If the evidence relies heavily on eyewitness testimony, the defense can question how reliable that witness is. Maybe the store's security footage isn't clear or shows someone else. If there are inconsistencies in reports or surveillance videos, it can cast doubt on whether the defendant is truly the person who took the item. Challenging the credibility of witnesses can also be effective. Loss prevention officers or store employees might have biases or incomplete observations. If their statements are inconsistent or lack detail, the defense can point out these flaws. This can weaken the prosecution's case and create reasonable doubt. Defendants also have the right to argue that their rights were violated during the incident. If law enforcement detained someone without proper suspicion, searched them illegally, or questioned them without informing them of their rights, the evidence obtained might be thrown out. Illegal searches or seizures can weaken the case significantly. Ownership or permission is another angle. If the person can prove that they own the item or had permission to take it, the charges may not hold. Sometimes store policies or misunderstandings about whether permission was granted can be used to dispute the claim. Entrapment is a less common but still valid defense. If a store employee or security officer pressured or encouraged someone to steal, it might be considered entrapment. This means the defendant was induced to commit a crime they otherwise wouldn't have committed. Finally, scrutinizing the evidence itself can reveal weaknesses. Poor quality surveillance footage, missing documentation, or gaps in the evidence chain can make it difficult for the prosecution to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. If the case relies on unclear or incomplete evidence, charges might be reduced or dismissed. In the end, shoplifting charges are not always straightforward. Using defenses like lack of intent, mistaken identity, witness credibility, rights violations, ownership, entrapment, and evidence issues can sometimes turn the tide. Each case is different, and a skilled criminal defense attorney will tailor the approach to fit the specific facts.